Well, welcome to another video, guys. It's been a while, I know. I've been really busy, and if you stay to the end I will show you the reason why. A bit of back history. I'm moving to Thailand early next year, fingers crossed, and I've decided to travel there by bicycle, in which I'm building. So I've been doing a mini series of my bike building. I think this one might be number 5, 6. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know. But in this one we're going to be fitting the rear brake caliper, adjusting it, and if I get time I'm going to be fitting, or at least mounting, the derailleur. So we're down here at the back wheel, and so the caliper I've chose is the Shimano Avid BB7S. They do it in a road and a mountain bike one. I've gone for the mountain bike one. I believe the original BB7s, they had the red dials. Me being me, I didn't think that was in keeping with my bike, so I noticed that these new BB7Ss came out, which are sort of black with the silver bolts, so I thought, yeah, that's in keeping with my bike colour. So yeah, excuse me, not the mic there. So there you go, Avid BB7S MTN. So then, these adapters, depending on what bike you got, is which ones you have to choose. It took me a little while to work out what it was I needed, but I finally got there. So we're going to first of all start by fitting these, and if you notice, that's the actual caliper is loose on that, and there's a reason for that, which we will go into in a minute when we adjust it. Hopefully you're picking this up. I'm sliding the caliper over the rotor and just do one bolt in loose by hand there, followed by the second one. When you're fitting these brackets onto your bike, these adapters, I found it easier to actually mount the caliper onto it and then put it in, because this post here is a little bit in the way to get into that. You can get to it, but I don't want to scratch my frame. But yeah, when I was having a play with this, when I first got them, I fit them on the wrong way round, and I wasn't getting clearance on one end of the caliper onto the rotor. I did write to Sham asking if I needed a spacer, have I got the wrong ones for this particular frame, but then I did notice myself before they replied that I had fitted it round the wrong way. Now they say the arrows should be pointing up. There is an arrow on the back of these. Now for this back one, the arrow's pointing that way. To me that's down. Yeah, you can clearly see it on the front one, on the forks, that the arrow is pointing up. I'm guessing it's the angle of your frame on your rear dropout end of it. So yeah, so my arrow is actually going downwards, so the arrow's pointing that way on mine. So anyone building a 30 BC, remember the arrow goes down that way. So anyway, I'm going to tighten these up again, as always with bolts, one at a time, until they're equally taut up. These have to be set to 5 to 7 Newton meters. Now the instruction manual says that's what the rear one has to be. For the front one, it says it has to be 9 to 10 Newton meters. Now I'm hoping I've not misread that. Right, so that's on there, and as you can see that's still wobbly, which is how we need it to do our adjustment. Now then, I've got to cut this cable to fit in there. Now if I take that off, I've measured, and the distance this goes up into there is approximately 14 mil. So from the front there, I'm going to cut 14 mil. Just double check, you don't want to be giving yourself too short. So I've cut that. Now what I'm using to just spray open that hole again, or splay open that hole again I should say, this is one of them barbecue skewer sticks. So I'm just trying to open it up a little bit with that. I've also got a little screwdriver here. So I'm just going to feed the cable through, hopefully it'll pass through freely. Alright, you're seeing it's getting stuck. Right then, I've just sort of opened up the wire edge on the end of these this cable, just to make it round again. It sort of squashed it a little bit. It may have been the angle I was cutting it at. So hopefully this will now slide through. Yeah, and it has. So that's great. Right then, so I'm going to fit the rubber dust cap. Slide that into there. Oops, that's the back one falling off. Hopefully this will now slide through nicely. Like so. Now, I don't know whether you can remember when I fitted these brake cables, I discovered they were too short, so I had to buy some more. That was the ones what came with the actual levers, which were too short. Right, so that's through there like so. Now what we need to do is run it through the feed just here. So using a piece of old leather here to, because I'm tight up against that there as well. So we'll undo this. Basically you just have to raise that bolt up enough so you can, didn't want that to curl like that really. Yeah, you just undo that bolt just enough to be able to slide that underneath there, like so. So I'm just pulling that table nice and tight so there's no slack in it. actually feels quite tight. I didn't realise that bolt was going to be that tight. So yeah, that's nice and firmly under there. Now they say you should leave about 20 mil, I think it said. I will double check that, but I'm not going to cut it yet anyway. So basically that's on there. Now for the adjustment, you have to make sure these are both wound out anti-clockwise. Now the aim of the game here is so you turn this one in. Now I don't know whether I'm going to be able to capture this, but you turn the inner wheel in clockwise until it's touching, just pressing up against your caliper. Sorry, your rotor caliper. Up against your rotor. So I'm going to try and position this camera so you can see that a little bit better. I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to, but let's give it a go. Right then, I've tried to adjust this camera so you can sort of see what I'm doing here, but I don't think you're going to be picking it up too well. As you can see, this is still loose. The actual caliper is loose. Now what they say to do is turn the rear one, which is a 25 Torx head screw. You can turn the wheel by hand, but being on the bike, the wheel being on the bike, it's a little bit difficult to turn by hand. Now it's difficult to do this because I'm having to thread this because I've got such a large rear cassette on the rear here. I can't get the thing to go through the... Trying to find the right... Let's see if I can turn it by hand. It's quite difficult. So turning clockwise, which... oh, there you go. Well, can you hear that rubbing? I'm guessing that's what they mean by pressing against it. Just going to back off a little bit. Which is easier said than done. But that to me is touching. And then they say this one so now that is locked onto the caliper, we have to do these mounting bolts up to the adapter to 8 to 10 Newton meters, and again equal pressure bit by bit on each bolt is good practice. There. Sorry, not the camera again. Keep knocking the camera. Oh. There we go. That's that one. One more for luck on this one. I like me one for Lux. There you go. So that's that. So apparently all you do now is you turn back 2 or 3 turns on them 2 discs and you should be adjusted. Let's start with the front one. 1, 2, 3. This is a little top tip for you if you've got something that's not got a long enough handle for purchase. Put the end of another ring spanner or something with a hole in it. I'm using, don't know whether you can see this, I'm using this. So you're basically just using it as a little bit of a leverage. Right, I think I'm tightening up. Shouldn't be tightening up. Let's go back to where I was. They seem to work. I'm pulling up that brake and it seems to be working fine. But after a little bit of fine tuning, I finally got the brakes adjusted how I wanted them. So that just leaves me now to cut this cable and put the little end cap on and crimp it on. So they say about 20 mil from the clamping bolt. So here goes. Let's cut this. Hopefully don't leave it all frayed so I can't get it in the little end cap. I cut it pretty good on the end cap. Now I don't know whether you're supposed to use any special crimping tool, but I'm just going to use a pair of these electrical things and use one of these clamping. Or never really knew what these things were for, to be fair, but let's see if it holds it on here. Yeah, but it's clamped it on anyway. Didn't feel like it was doing anything, but it, in actual fact, I think I flattened it a little bit too much, but I'm guessing it's on there. Don't think that's coming off. So that is basically installing and adjusting the Avid BB7S disc brake. So that just leaves me now to mount the derailleur. I'm going to quickly turn the bike around in the stand and then we'll crack on with that. Right then, so I've spun the bike around. I've taken it out of the stand. It's probably going to be easier to do it just on the floor. So this is the Shimano Shadow long cage 11-speed derailleur, and it's got one of these clutches on it right there. I think it's to stop chain whip, I'm not 100% sure, but read up a little bit on that. So basically the Surly Breeze Club frame comes with its own derailleur mount already on it. So basically we're just going to be screwing it straight on. As simple as that really. Now there is a little stop thing I've read. You're supposed to have it touching that with no gap. Well, now I'm just going to do this up to the right torque, which again is 8 to 10 Newton meters. I don't think I've mentioned, but pretty much everything I've been doing up on this bike, i.e. calipers, this derailleur, they're all these, if I can get that in view, these sort of like, they look a bit like an Allen key, but they're not an Allen key, but it's a number 5, I believe, it says H5, so whether they mean hex head there, which I believe it is a hex head, and the other one with slightly more spines is torque. So anyway, I'm going to be doing this up to between 8 and 10 Newton meters. So let's just adjust this. I'm going to go between the two. There you go, and that's that. Well, I'm going to leave it at that today, I believe. I've got to do a little bit more research about threading this all up. It's probably going to be very similar to the brake caliper. Should have had a quick look really before. Well, I can see a little thing there which looks like the cable goes through, but I'm not exactly sure of the threading, which way you thread it through. So I'm going to leave it at that for this video. As always, like, comment and subscribe and share. People like to see things sometimes what you might think that they don't. So again, as I think I mentioned in the last video, I am very, very close to being monetized. I'm about 15 short. So I'd love to try and be monetized by the time I go on this trip. And yeah, your support, all those already have subscribed, you're greatly appreciated. Hopefully I may meet you on my travels, some of you. And I do know I have a lot of community in India. So that would be really great if I could meet up with any of you guys, and everywhere else of course who have subscribed around the world. No one is excluded. As always, stay safe. And I will run the little clip now of the reasons why this video has taken a while to get out. Guys, this is the reason why I've been so busy. As you can see, I've got a bit of a garden project going on, and it's this which is not only stopping me from putting out videos, but also it's been the thorn in my side for the last few years, which has stopped me from going to Thailand sooner than I wanted. So these patio slabs here, they were all level up to these breeze blocks here, but another breeze block high. As you can see, that's all the slabs there. And yeah, basically it had all collapsed. So I sort of started to try and sort this out a couple of years ago, but I've decided to tear it off over 3 levels. So there's going to be porcelain slabs here. I'm going to go for the resin shingle up on there with a little grey 4-course brick wall along the front of that horrible concrete. and I'm going to be taking that on down to here. There's going to be some kind of a retainer wall there just to take it up to the land there of the neighbour's garden, and this is basically what my garden was like. Probably not quite as tidy as that. So basically I'm going to have some steps going down here. Again, some kind of nice retainer wall going along here. I'm going to go for probably some artificial turf along this middle section, and then down here the shed's going to be going in that corner. Needs some kind of storage area, and I'm going to finish this side with the same porcelain slabs I'm going to be putting up there, with some kind of steps in there down to that level, and of course a new fence. Now I've basically been digging all this out by hand using this a couple of spades and forks down there. Halfway through I brought this to take up, it's like an electric Kango. That was for breaking up the concrete, holding some of the old concrete fence posts in. A lot of this is what I've dug out in the process, and I've had 3 6-yard skips and this 4-yard skip. The skips alone has cost me over £1,000, £1,000, so it's going to be a costly thing. My slabs are going to be around 700 odd quid. I think me resin shingle for up there is going to be around 200 or 300 quid. The bricks I've bought to go along here, the 3-course bricks, they've cost me around £200. I've not even worked out the turf yet for their artificial turf, and of course whatever I decide to do with this retainer wall. So guys, that is the reason why I have not been putting videos out. I've been meaning to do this for the last 3 or 4 years, but it's either been time or money or my mind being in the right place. So yeah, I thought I'd just share that with you to let you see that I'm not being lazy. Oh, and by the way, I've lost 4 kg in just doing this alone. No special diets, nothing like that. Just pure hard graft, digging, stamping up in as much as I can into these skips. And yeah, so far I've lost 4 kg, and I've always said by the time I start my bike ride to Thailand, I'd like to be around the 78 to 80 kg mark, with the hope that I was going to be down to about 75 by the time I got there. But I think I might be knocking on to that before I even leave now. And obviously this is also good for a little bit of strengthening work and cardio, so my fitness levels will be a little bit better than I thought I'd anticipate. I did go on a bike ride the other day with a work colleague. We done 47.8 miles I think it was, and I was absolutely fine. That was on a borrowed bike. Mine's not complete yet, as you are aware. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it at that now. So take care and see you on the next one.